They didn't ban this book because it was wrong. They banned it because it was right. Right about you. Right about the people around you. Right about the invisible game being played every single day. The game you were losing because nobody told you the rules existed. You were raised to be honest, to be fair, to give people the benefit of the doubt. And what did that get you? Used, passed over, spoken about behind your back by the same people you defended. You watched less talented, less honest, less moral men climb higher than you, and you told yourself the world was broken. The world is not broken. The world is operating exactly as Machiavelli described it over 500 years ago. The problem is they made sure you never read him. They called him evil. They called his work dangerous. They buried it under centuries of distortion, and they did that on purpose. Because the moment you truly understand what Machiavelli was saying, you become very, very difficult to control. Stay with me. I know what your life looks like right now. You work harder than the people getting promoted. You stay loyal to people who would not do the same. You keep the peace even when it costs you. You shrink yourself in rooms where other men expand, not because you are weak, but because you were taught that restraint is virtue. And here is the brutal truth nobody wants to say out loud. The systems around you, social, professional, even familial, were not built to reward your goodness. They were built to extract it. Your patience is their timeline. Your loyalty is their safety net. Your silence is their permission. You are not failing because something is wrong with you. You are failing because you are playing by rules that were written to keep you exactly where you are. The men above you do not play by those rules. They never did. And somewhere deep in you, you already knew that. That quiet anger you feel when you see someone mediocre celebrated, that is not envy. That is intelligence. That is your instinct recognizing a rigged game before your conscious mind is willing to admit it. Drop in the comments. I always knew the game was rigged. Machiavelli knew it too. He wrote it all down, and they hated him for it. Niccolò Machiavelli was born in Florence in 1469. He served as a diplomat. He advised princes. He watched empires rise and collapse from the inside. He saw what men did in public versus what they did in private. And he had the audacity to write it down without flinching. The church called him an instrument of the devil. Monarchs across Europe put his book on the banned list. For 200 years, The Prince was the book you were not allowed to own. But here is what they never told you. Machiavelli was not writing a manual for tyrants. He was writing a survival guide for anyone living inside a world of wolves. He was writing for you. He said this: "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." That line has been twisted into proof of his cruelty for centuries. But read it again. He did not say be cruel. He said be certain. Be someone whose presence carries weight. Because love can be withdrawn the moment it becomes inconvenient. But respect, true, earned, immovable respect, that is harder to take away. This is not manipulation. This is understanding human nature without the lies we use to make it more comfortable. Drop in the comments. Respect is earned, not assumed. Lesson 1, The Lion and the Fox. A man who only fights with force will eventually be chained. A man who only uses cleverness will eventually be devoured. You know this man. He is the one at work who always confronts directly, always escalates, always makes it a battle of wills, and wonders why he keeps hitting walls. And you also know the other one, the smooth talker who bends with every wind, who has no spine, who survives by being inoffensive and irrelevant. Machiavelli said the true prince must be both lion and fox. Force when necessary, strategy always. The psychology here is simple. Most men default to one mode under pressure. They either fight or they appease. The dangerous man, the effective man, switches between them deliberately. Starting today, before your next difficult conversation, Decide in advance. Is this a moment for directness or for patience? Choose consciously. Stop reacting automatically. Order Lesson 2, Fortuna and the Flood. You cannot control what comes at you. You can control how much of yourself you have built before it arrives. Machiavelli said fortune is like a flooding river. It destroys everything in its path when men have not prepared. When you have built embankments, the flood still comes, but it does not sweep you away. The men around you who seem untouchable, it is not luck. They built when the weather was calm. They developed skills when they did not need them. They created options before they needed an escape. The psychology of this is delayed identity. Most men wait until crisis to build. Machiavelli understood that preparation before pressure is the only real power. Starting today, identify one skill, one relationship, one resource that would protect you if everything you rely on right now disappeared tomorrow. Begin building it today. Drop in the comments, I am building before the flood comes. This knowledge is for protection, not destruction. Lesson 3. Never wound what you cannot kill. A half-executed move is more dangerous than no move at all. If you confront someone, confront them completely. If you walk away from something, walk away completely. The most dangerous position in any conflict is the middle, where you've shown enough of your hand to make an enemy, but not enough to neutralize the threat. You have felt this. The argument you almost had, but softened at the last second. The line you almost drew but pulled back from. And then, weeks later, they pushed again harder, because they learned your limit has no edge. The psychology is this: incomplete action signals fear, and people, consciously or not, read fear as invitation. Starting today, when you decide to act, commit to the act fully. Half measures cost you more than silence. The Lesson 4, the danger of gratitude. Men forget favors faster than they forget injuries. This one will sting. Think of everyone you have gone out of your way for. Now think of how many of them are in the room when you need something. Machiavelli was not cynical about this. He was clinical. He observed human beings as they actually behave, not as we wish they would. Gratitude has an expiration date. It lasts until the next inconvenience. But a man who commands respect, whose absence would cost people something real, that man does not need gratitude. He has leverage, the psychology we give to feel connected. But connection built only on giving creates an imbalance. The other person eventually resents. Real connection requires mutual stakes. Starting today, stop measuring your relationships by what you have given. Start measuring them by what is mutual. Drop in the comments, mutual stakes or no stakes at all. Did Lesson 5 appear to be what you need to be? When judged by what they see, almost no one has the patience to examine what is real. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, and religious, but must be inwardly prepared to be the opposite when the situation demands. He was not telling you to be a liar. He was telling you to understand that perception is the first battlefield. You are being evaluated constantly. How you carry yourself, how you speak, what you tolerate in front of others. Every room you walk into, a verdict is being formed before you open your mouth. The psychology. People project meaning onto surfaces. A man who walks slowly is assumed to have somewhere to be. A man who speaks less is assumed to know more. These are not tricks. They are the physics of social reality. Starting today, audit your surface. What does your posture say about you? Your response time. Your tone, not to perform, but to align your exterior with the interior you are actively building. In Lesson 6, the prince does not need your approval. The man who requires consensus before he acts will never lead. He will only administer. Every time you wait for permission, waited to see if the group agreed, softened your position when you felt resistance, changed your answer based on the room. You trained the people around you to understand that you are movable. Machiavelli was direct. A leader who tries to please everyone pleases no one and is respected by no one. Not because people want a tyrant, but because they want someone whose conviction is load-bearing. Someone they can actually lean on. The psychology. Approval seeking is anxiety in disguise, and anxiety, when others sense it, triggers a primal response. They push to see how far it goes. Starting today, make one decision today without asking anyone how they feel about it. Own the outcome. Repeat. Drop in the comments. My conviction is not for sale. Here is where we land. The old you is dead. The one who thought being good was enough. The one who kept giving and kept waiting. The one who swallowed his own instincts because someone told him confidence was arrogance and strategy was manipulation. That version of you has already expired. What Machiavelli understood, what took him prison walls and exile and silence to write down, is that the world does not run on morality. It runs on perception, preparation, and the willingness to act without apology. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are not here to be understood by people who profit from your confusion. You are a weapon pointed at your own future. You belong to no one. Not to the system that shaped your compliance, not to the relationships that relied on your smallness, not to the version of yourself that accepted less because you thought that was humility. Machiavelli did not write The Prince for Kings. He wrote it for every man who had ever been in a room with power and felt invisible. He wrote it for you. The book was banned for 200 years because it works. And now you have read it. You made it to the end. That means something. Most people click away the moment a video stops making them comfortable. You stayed because part of you recognized the truth in every word. If this channel speaks to you, if this is the kind of thinking you have been hungry for, the subscribe button is there. Not because I need your number, because this is a library, and it grows every week. You decide if you want to stay. Share this video with one man in your life who is still playing by rules that were written to keep him small. He may not thank you immediately. He will eventually. And before you leave, one question for the comments. What is the one situation in your life right now where you have been showing the lion, but Machiavelli is telling you to show the fox? Think about that.